Welcome to Between Two Pastries, a not-so-typical nutrition podcast. Nicole and Annie are licensed and registered dietitians. Join them as they discuss hot nutrition topics, challenge popular beliefs, and have a blast doing it. Here are your hosts, Nicole and Annie.
Welcome to Between Two Pastries. This is Nicole.
Hey everyone, it's Annie.
So we decided we were going to do a part 2 on the previous pod in regards to new habits that have a hiccup or whatever, I think is what
Yeah, I don't even remember where we left off with that pod, but I do remember obviously it was on habits, and we were talking about how you can have like a hiccup, right? Like how your client, was doing so well and eating so much more before their movement sessions, and then something would have triggered that to go back to and revert to an older habit of just eating yogurt and toast.
Right.
Then we see that stress response.
Yes. And really the fear, right? So It's like that ugly piece that pops up that says, I'm not sure if you should be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And how many people listen to that voice?
Because majority.
Right.
Yeah.
And that voice, and this is an interesting thing too, because that voice is simply fear, which is based on ego and has nothing to do with intuition.
Correct.
So it's like that
Right.
might be a really good red flag, just to help people here for a second. Like when that voice pops in, that's your red flag to notice, more or less observe and not react, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of pause, drop into your body a little bit, center around that a little, and just like, well, let me check in though. Let me check in, right? Let me engage my rational brain here and check into, wait a minute, why is this here? Oh, it's because I'm doing something that I just have not been doing for so long. And there's a part of me that's starting to freak out,
Right.
Either the disordered eating part of me or just an old part of me that goes, hey, wait, don't
Right.
you want to keep taking this old part of you along to your future? No.
Yeah. No, don't let me die. Don't let me die.
That's right. That's right.
But I want to make it very clear, like, you don't have to have an eating disorder or have disordered eating to have these fears.
No.
Or to really only listen to your ego, which is
Right.
like Nicole said, what you're doing. It could literally be about anything. We, of course, are in the food department, so that's what we talk about, right? So it can be a fear around anything or a belief. So if you believe that everything in your refrigerator has to be organic, that is a belief that you have, likely irrational, but it came about from somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we talk about the context of what your client experienced, because that fleeting comment was made as you were, she was walking out the door, you don't know, you can't tap into that. But ultimately, so much though, would you agree or disagree? So much of what we do or the reactions and choices we make are built upon our habits, behaviors, and our beliefs.
1,000%. 1,000%.
It's never built upon what we're feeling inside of our body.
Correct.
Right? Like it's rarely is it ever a choice that we're making because of an experience within us.
Right.
An internal
knowing
thing.
Yes. Real knowing. Yeah.
Right. Everything is always, and I mean, I feel like there's books on this, and like Kyle Cease does a lot about ego. Like so much of our choices are built upon our ego, which is not perhaps the best thing in the world.
Well, not at all. An ego is a part of us that does look out for us. And at the same time, though, it really is built on fear because it's trying to keep you alive, right? So it's like, if it's used to you responding to something, good or bad, mind you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's used to the routine of that. When you stop doing that, it speaks up and, hey, we're not doing this thing anymore. What are you doing? You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because it's so used to it. That's
right.
the norm.
The way that we refer to it is like your rational side of your brain and your
Right.
irrational
Irrational.
or logical, and then you've got your illogical. Like you can place whatever term you want on it. You could say healthy and unhealthy if you really wanted to, right? Because it is those irrational thoughts we have, if they're strong enough, and they're screaming loud enough, that's what we truly believe. And oftentimes it was funny. I met with someone today who, she even said, she's like, if you tell me I'm going to be this weight, I'm going to say no. Like she's so stuck within that belief that she can't exceed a particular number on the scale. Like it literally meant I'm not doing this. So it's like she's hearing one thing, right? Like, oh, okay, we need to improve your weight, and interpreting it in a very reactive way, right? Like she gets that ego going and in the way. And I think irrationally, oh my God, this person is going to make me be 105 or 150 whatever pounds, and then 180, and then 200 some, and then, you know, and your brain keeps going, right? And that ego catches up to us, instead of saying, taking that step back and having that conversation of like, why?
Right. Right.
What's going on?
Right.
What do you mean?
Right.
Like, let's talk. It's a very like, fear gets in the way of so much.
Right? That for that person, that became a life or death situation.
Correct.
That gut reaction, because that's where this person has been used to operating on, for sure. Absolutely.
But people don't realize that they're used to operating in these places.
Right. So, you know, going back to the whole belief thing and how the ego even kind of starts going, if you will, and talking about the beliefs, you know, it's the words that we hear repetitively. So the messages that we hear, the words that we hear, the definitions around certain things that we hear over and over and over again, whether those definitions are accurate or not, it's what, say, family members would say, peers, other people of influence in that person's life, what they hear over and over again, that becomes embodied. So when people talk about let's embody this, that literally drives into every cell that you have and becomes such a solid truth that what the situation was that my client had experienced, she got hit up, you know, right? Just backed right up to that as, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I forgot about this real truth that I've had.
Right.
You know, decades
right
of believing a certain thing. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden it was like she just remembered that, you know? It was like the ego got loud enough, right? That's just like, hey, you better stop. I'm throwing all the fears at you. You better stop, because all these horrible things are going to happen. Because remember what your mom used to tell you. Remember what your grandma used to say. Remember how that one person watched you eat one time and made a terrible comment about it. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
We all have those situations, right?
Heck yeah, we do. Yep. Right. It happens all the time. But it's again, this isn't just food. I mean, this goes
it's everything.
Everything. I mean, think about the climate of our country, right?
I know.
Like whether, you know, look at the political beliefs, look at racism, look at the trans community, look at like all of these things. If someone is fearful, or someone is, you know, you can even throw that word racist out there. If someone is racist, they've developed fears around a certain group of people, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's the same thing. If I'm told sugar is bad, I'm going to start to believe, similar to a group of people, similar to a group of food, that's truth. And I continue to hear that belief constantly, right? I'm bombarded with it on social media. And now that I liked something on social media, now they're going to keep putting all of that belief articles, the same things, whether it's about racism, whether it's about food, whether it's about movies you like or not like, whatever. That's what I'm going to keep seeing. So I'm inundated with the same beliefs, right or wrong.
Absolutely.
Constantly, to the point, like you said, it gets to your core. And now I'm so afraid of the opposite of that belief.
Absolutely. So I think the thing is that we've talked about this before. We've talked about intention before. We've talked about words before and how powerful our words are. And I think that that's why it's like, instead of just kind of, going around willy-nilly around things, right? It's kind of like really being super, super intentional and mindful about what you do, what you think, and even what you allow. What you allow to even permeate,
Well, yeah, but also checking in with yourself and saying, I have this, I'm making lunch and I'm putting together, I'm going to have, fruit, veggies, and a piece of chicken because I don't eat carbohydrate. Well, check in with yourself. Why don't I do that?
Right. Where did that come from for you?
Where did that come from? And I not to, I'll bring it up again, like I did in the last one, but in our book, we have that. Like, we go through an exercise on food rules. You write down the rule, where it came from and why we have it and how we're going to,
flip it around.
Do that. Yeah. We got to flip it. So but I don't think people even realize that these are rules and beliefs and behaviors that they have that are,
it's just
irrational.
their way of living and not understanding that there's choice. So you have choice. You can actually choose to start looking at things a little differently for yourself.
Well, and the cues to that, if we stick with this eat sugar, don't eat sugar example that I threw out there, the cues to that are, I'm just not going to eat sugar, but I eat all of the food at night. Or I'm so hungry during the day. Or I'm never fueled on my workouts. Like, those are all the body cues that like something's out of whack. So again, taking that step back and asking, what is not going well for me?
Right.
Why could that be? Is it maybe because I don't eat carbohydrate at all?
Right.
Is it maybe because when I eat carbohydrate, I'm eating it excessively because I deny myself of it most days of the week? Things like that, where like, again, it's being aware of your body cues. And I don't know. I feel like in order to create habits that support people's ultimate goal, I mean, say it as it is, their ultimate goal of living a long, healthful, not in the hospital life, people are ironically doing all the wrong things. And that's, to me, it's ironic. It's comical in a sense, because it's literally making the wrong choice most times, because they're so lost within their belief patterns.
Right. And
habits,
Right. And sometimes it's enough where they actually do start feeling it intuitively, and that's when they start seeking out.
Yes.
A lot of times that's when people just be like, I know something isn't right. Something doesn't feel, but I can't put my finger on it. And then when we start hitting on this stuff, then it starts getting scary.
Yeah, then it's
like,
hard.
Oh no, is it really that? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. That absolutely is the tough part. And that's where, people have to close their eyes, and we create new habits, new behaviors, new beliefs, because beliefs can be changed. Beliefs are not right. You know what I mean? Like, every belief that you have about anything can be changed or proven right or wrong, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, again, it can relate to anything.
Right. And what matters, though, is, did you give yourself enough choice at the time that belief started affecting you? Did you give yourself enough time to actually see, is this aligned with me? With what I really maybe want to believe, want for myself on all levels.
Again, I circle back to like people just simply being able to recognize that a belief is irrational. And that's where my worry always lies, is like, again, it's even sitting with a client, it's like, oh man, they have all of these irrational beliefs. How am I going to tackle all of this?
Oh, right. Yeah, no.
And
yeah.
whether you're the practitioner or the client, it's just like taking a little nail and a little hammer and you just chip.
Yeah.
You're just
totally.
literally chipping away at all of those things. And it's really challenging, but that's really the only way you can do it. And again, having someone that you can trust that A is going to tell you your habits or beliefs are wrong or irrational. And then someone to help, reset those beliefs to be a little bit more realistic at the end of the day. Right. Especially as it relates to food.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So we were kind of segueing into from beliefs to habits, and they kind of all go together. I was telling Annie that I'm on a list of a real an illegitimate practitioner that speaks a lot about things that I don't think that they actually have any
no
credentialing to even, remotely bring up these topics. Anyway.
God, you hope not.
So I got a kick out of this when I was reading it, because the whole email was about how habits don't work. And let me tell you why. So I think that that's kind of what this whole thing comes down to, though. And I was laughing about this because I was thinking the same thing. And then Annie said it as well, is like everything that we do in the course of our day is a habit. Like everything we do when we get up, that's habitual. Right. Brushing our teeth. It's habitual. These are things that we do. Sometimes we have created such a brain loop around them that our brain doesn't have to work that hard anymore to think that this is what we do in our day. Right. That is essentially where you want some habits to go. That is where you want some habits to go. Right. Habits that really serve you to go.
Nail biting. People oftentimes want to call that a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have such a bad habit of nail biting. No, you're anxious. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Once you figure out your anxiety and you reduce it, you won't bite your nails anymore.
No, that nail biting will definitely go away. And that's a good point. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So sometimes we call things habits that sometimes might actually be
a symptom of something. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Is a symptom of something. So I just want to bring that point up. So wait, what was this person saying?
It was just all about how habits aren't real and they don't work for achieving goals, basically. Right.
Oh my God. So my habit of like following a training plan or like.
Right. What's really important to understand is, because we're starting to get into the season where people start wanting to start new habits.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before. We just mentioned it a little while ago, though. What's really important about wanting to maybe change habits is also the intention and the belief that's going to be fueling that, right?
Right.
That's what's really important, is putting those three things together. Otherwise, just deciding that, okay, I really need to make this thing a habit, right? Well, right then and there, like, first of all, I had no enthusiasm in my voice whatsoever. So whatever it is that I'm talking about, I'm clearly not excited about trying to make this thing a habit for myself, right? Well, anybody who feels that way about something new that they feel they quote unquote should embark on, that habit is probably not going to stick. So I guess that's kind of what I'm saying, is that part of why we do things is that we get something from it. So what's really important is that for people that really want to start doing, new things or changing some things up, that the intention is really there. Like there is a true desire for, I really wish to create something different, with my life or this aspect of my life. And I am 100% fully in it, right? A, that intention is there. But also B, that it's a real strong desire and commitment to actually do what it takes to make that change.
Well, I want to make it really clear, though, it's okay to not have an intention for whatever change. Like, it's okay if you want to smoke. It's if you don't have that desire to change something, then own it. And that's the design.
It's all about choice. If your heart is really into something, guess what?
Yeah,
That's going to
it's easy.
happen.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen a lot easier. Sure.
Right.
It's going to feel gummy because it's new. Your brain has to think more. And that's the piece people get irritated with. I don't want to think about this all the time. Well, I know, but
you do at first.
It's new to your brain because it's not on autopilot yet. You're not there. You have to create that. Right.
Right.
But that's exactly right. It's getting true to yourself of what you really, really want to do. Do you really want to do this? Or do you think you should? Or do you think you have to? Or is it somebody that's bullying you to do it? You know what I mean? That's part of, so if you do, then the habit will stick, which is why there may still be habits in your life that aren't serving you, but for some reason, they're clearly working for you still in one way, shape, or form.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, you know this, we see this in the athletic community, like hard, right? Like people who don't want to run half marathons or whatever, but feel this weird obligation because their friends are, because it's the trend right now to go and participate in these
all
things.
Of these
really
external factors. Without just checking in with, is this in my heart or not?
Right.
No.
Even with food, we see it there. Like, I'm doing a cleanse. Well, why are you doing that? I don't know. Everyone was doing it in my, body pump class. So it's like, again, I want to throw out that stupid, that stupid saying of, well, if all your friends jump off a cliff, are you going to do it too?
Right.
Like, you don't have to do these irrational things. You don't have to do things that don't appeal to you.
Yeah,
you
completely.
can create the habits and behaviors that work for you and be unique and an individual and all of those things. Like, I don't understand that. I don't know. I guess I should understand it, because the majority of people just go with the crowd. They go with whatever the latest trend is. They go with the latest saying and whatever about food, which is ridiculous. Just ridiculous. It's easy. It is hard to change. Easier to stay with your same old habits. And it's very fearful to change them.
What's really important is that you have the kind of support system that can help help you navigate through all of that.
Right.
Absolutely.
And support systems can be parents, teachers, coaches, friends, but like friends that are unique in that way as a support system.
Right.
Partners, practitioners. To give a few examples, support system is not going onto Facebook and reading the doctor's article on whatever.
No.
Because you think that it validates your beliefs. That's not support.
Correct. Absolutely.
Please don't do that.
Right. We're talking about real conversation with somebody who understands.
Like a human being.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Jeez Louise.
Right.
All right.
Exactly. It's been fun though.
It has been fun. Bye.
Have questions you want to hear discussed on the show? Find us on Facebook or visit between2pastries.com and drop us a line. Want to support the show? Find us on Patreon for exclusive content. If you love the show, find us on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review.